Today at Lions Talk Live, we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into why offensive coordinator Ben Johnson chose to stay with the Detroit Lions. We're also going to just give you a little bit of other news that it's hit the waiver wire in the last couple of days. But at any rate, we're going to get into it right now. We're going to talk about Ben Johnson, what this means for the Detroit Lions. Does it affect the draft and free agency? All those factors, and maybe just a little bit more, in today's Lions Talk Live. Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in this Thursday to Lions Talk Live. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Only takes about a second and a half to hit the subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, and if you want, maybe a few comments in the section below. Before we get into today's main topic, let's talk about a few other topics that have hit the waiver wire in the last 48 hours or so. Many of you probably already know Aiden Hutchinson, the prize Lions rookie draft pick from last year, among others, is up for Defensive Player of the Year from Pepsi. So if you want, you can go on the internet and go ahead and hit some buttons, vote for him, help him in his chances to win this award. Many sites allow you to vote as much as you'd like, so feel free to just go ahead and keep smashing that vote button for him. Now, a couple other topics. There's news about who the Lions may be re-signing from their prior list of players who are up for free agency. I'm sure many of you have noticed on news outlets that people like John Kaminsky, Isaiah Buggs, Anzalone, among others, are offering to take slightly less money to remain with Detroit. So with players like those three, among others, offering to want to stay in Detroit, what's that say about the changing culture in Detroit? What's it say about Dan Campbell, the coaching staff, etc.? Just basically the overall census for the feel of this team going forward. It sure doesn't seem like the Lions franchise of the prior decade or two, where players just came here to end their careers, same with the coaches, and now you've got just people lining up to want to stay. But what's that also tell potential free agents considering Detroit as an option? You've got an offensive coordinator who's turning down head coaching opportunities to stay here. You've got players who could hit the free agency market and potentially make more money, willing to stay for Dan Campbell and company, and at a slightly discounted rate. If it's me on the outside looking in, it's probably all good news for the Lions franchise that's been downtrodden for the most part since 2000. What can we say? Things have definitely, apparently changed for Detroit. All right, so now let's get into the main topic, and that is, of course, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, who had a number of head coaching interviews coming up this week. Just all of a sudden, late Tuesday night, came out and said, hey, I'm going to turn them down. I'm going to stay in Detroit. I want to be a Lion and focus on what we're doing here. Now, I think there's a couple things for us to consider. I didn't want to come out yesterday and talk about it. I get 50 billion other people are going to be talking about it. I wanted to do a little bit of an analyzation of Ben Johnson, what I could ascertain as far as his core personality trait, maybe some of his sub-minor personalities, and what does that tell us about Ben Johnson? So let's start off with this. Who is Ben Johnson internally? He's an amicable personality. You may be asking yourself, Dan, what does that mean? It means he's somebody, because of his personality traits, he wants everybody to get along. He wants everybody to sing Kumbaya. Doesn't do well with duress as far as, people getting upset and angry. With that also being said, he has an analytical trait inside him. What does this mean? It means in his world, in his mind, everything has got to go A, B to C. Otherwise, it does cause some emotional duress and stress. How does this impact his decision to turn down head coaching opportunities and remain with Detroit? Well, we were just talking moments ago in other news related to the Lions, how a number of players are asking to re-sign with Detroit at a discounted rate. To me, that shows how much MCDC and the coaching staff has really impacted these players. It would appear to me there's a galvanized effort by all these people to see Detroit continue to push forward next year. That means there's really almost like a family dynamic to these players and coaches. They believe in each other. And that does extend to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, remember, we said he's an amicable personality. He wants everybody to get along. It would be my anticipation he started feeling guilt, stress over the idea of taking a job somewhere else, if offered, and leaving his brothers behind. So in no doubt in my mind, this is the primary reason why Ben Johnson is going to remain in Detroit. The second reason could be that he started getting a sense where his pay structure may be as a first-time unproven head coach. He probably had to do a little bit of thinking and say, is it really worth the stress and guilt I'm feeling because of who I am internally to leave this team in this situation behind? I think the answer was obvious to all of us. The coach and former general manager in me would say this, though, to Ben Johnson. If I was his agent, I would have had him go through with those interviews for one simple reason. You may not ever get this opportunity again. He's 36 years old. He is coming off a great season where a lot of attention was put on him because of what the offense did. But I want you to look around the league. Every year, you have young coordinators who get a lot of attention, and if they don't grab that opportunity when it's there, it may not present himself again. Kudos for Ben Johnson for sticking with what he believes is important to him, and that is the family dynamic that is the Detroit Lions. That's something as Lions fans, each and every one of us, if you get an opportunity, you should praise these guys and coaches because they're all doing the same thing. It's clear at this point, Ben Johnson, the players, the coaching staff, whoever you want to say, are all in on what Detroit has the potential to do this offseason and next year. Ben Johnson, you've heard me talk on Lions Talk Live. He's like the rest of the coaches. While he's inexperienced, some of that gets exposed at times. Watch the progression from last year to the start of this year to the middle of the season, and then by the end of the season. I think you see where not just Ben Johnson, but the entire coaching staff rose to the occasion and developed. So I won't do more of a dive on Ben Johnson internally from a mechanical standpoint. I just don't think it's needed. But at least consider what we said here today about him. Consider what's happening, and it is incredibly special, especially at the pro sports level. Again, in the collegiate level, it's probably more common for a group of people to say, you know, I'm not going to enter the transfer portal and switch or whatever. But you've got people turning down money. I'm not going to say it's billions or millions of dollars, but they're turning down significant money that you and I, most viewing audience members, would not turn down. We would take that to help our families. But these guys are turning that down to stick together. And that really needs to say to all of us Lions fans, this isn't the same old Lions. This is the brand new Lions. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to end this video with that. We all really should take a moment of pause and appreciate what's happening here. Because if you've been a Lions fan as long as I have, since basically the late 70s, early 80s, it's rare when we see situations like this. All right, I won't keep you all a longer day, but I do have one question I want to throw at you all. I'm doing another mock draft, but a thought came to me last evening. What if we ran an interactive mock draft? What does that mean? It means I would take you guys through each of the Lions draft picks in a video. I would throw up there, here's a trade option or two at that pick, and here are, if we turn the trades down, 4 or 5 players that we could select from. Would you, the fans, be interested in taking part in our interactive mock draft? Let me know in the comment section below. If there's enough people that want to do it, I would love to run it. I think it would be a lot of work, but if you guys are willing to do it, if enough people are willing to do it, then we'll go ahead and jump on that. Otherwise, I'll just continue with the mock draft videos as I have been doing them. But at any rate, hope you all have a great day. If you haven't subscribed to Lions Talk, please consider doing so. And otherwise, I'll see you all tomorrow, Friday, on another Lions Talk Live.